So the first 7 days of Inktober are done, and if you saw my preparation video beforehand, you'll know that this year I was planning to write a story to go with the word prompts, and that's why I've got this named the Inktober Chronicles. And each chapter it's more like an interconnected short story. You know, there's no kind of beginning, middle and end with a grand reveal or a big surprise ending or anything like that. It's like each chapter is kind of stands alone really, and the only thing that connects it going sort of from start to end, although I've not got to the end yet, but the connecting theme is basically it's a story about me. It's kind of an imagined story about me. Very few of these things actually happened. So just to let you know, on the title page, if you're looking at this and it's bothering you that it's off centre, don't worry, that is deliberate, because when I bind this in a book, the sort of edge of the first page kind of gets eaten up a little bit by the binding, so that is deliberate that it's off centre. And then we've got a list of the chapters, which is the 31 word prompts, but then I've also added a prologue and an epilogue. I've no idea yet if I even need an epilogue, but I just wanted to give myself that option. The prologue basically is just because I didn't want the first chapter to be too long, and then it would look like I did a long first chapter and then everything else was just short. So again, deliberate decision just to even things out a little bit. And if you want to read this as we go along, feel free to pause the video and read it. But what I'm planning to do is at the end of the month, I'll actually read it through, sort of all in one video. That's the plan anyway. So basically, the gist of the story is that I'm bored. I'm not. I say in the prologue that the empty-looking diary for October kind of seemed really dull, but actually, you know, in reality I quite like an empty diary. But basically I'm saying I can't afford to go on holiday, so the plan is that I'm going to do lots of little adventures at home. And chapter 1 starts off with I notice a backpack hanging in the cupboard, and then that gives me the idea of doing these different little adventures from home and having days out. The backpack drawing itself, I used the pen and the water brush that I showed you in the preliminary video. I did struggle with the background. I really wish I'd not tried to do the door that the backpack was hanging on, and I came to the conclusion afterwards that that was because I was using the water brush. And although when I've used the pen and the water brush in my tiny sketchbook, it's been fine, doing it on this bigger scale, I just found it more tricky, I think, with the water brush. So for the rest of it, instead of using the water brush, I just used a normal paintbrush and a jar of water. And then for the second day, discover. In my story, I go to the Tourist Information Centre just to find out more things about my own town that perhaps, you know, I'd overlooked. This drawing I'm much happier with. I had much more control over the spreading of the ink with using a proper brush and water rather than the water brush. So that was then when I made the decision, okay, I'm just going to stick with the normal brush from now on. Chapter 3, all I'm doing in chapter 3 is cleaning off my walking boots. It's a very dull chapter. Chapter 4, now then, exotic. I was thinking, how can I use something exotic in my own town? I'm not going anywhere. And I remembered across town there's Butterfly World, where they've got like a butterfly house where you can kind of walk in among, and the butterflies are just all flying around. but in more recent years they've also included other animals as well. So I had actually thought about visiting there this day. Like when I had the idea of this for exotic, I was like, oh, actually I've not been there for ages, maybe I will go there. And on that particular day I had an appointment in the afternoon, so it was like, oh, it's going to be tight on timing. So I thought I'll just do the sketches from photos on the website. And then I got so carried away with doing the sketches I missed my appointment anyway. Fortunately it wasn't anything too serious and that could be rearranged. Okay, and then day 5 the theme was binoculars. So basically I go to a bird hide and look out the window, and there I am with my binoculars, my flask of tea, my sketchbook and pen, and there's a heron fishing in the kind of marshy edges of the lake. One thing I sort of regret about this picture, well, I don't know if it's a regret, I did think in the story this is a really rainy day. So I did think I should perhaps have tried to draw the rain, or at least like splashes on the water, but I wasn't brave enough. I thought it's too risky to ruin the picture. But I'm really quite happy with that one. Well, this side especially. Not overly happy with my binoculars, but you know, there you go. And then day 6 was a trek. And I looked up some sort of long walks near me. In fact, I did actually Google what is the difference between a trek and a hike, because a few days later there's also hike. And apparently a trek involves multiple nights on a journey. So you take your tent with you, you take all your supplies. And I thought there's no way I'm going to be doing a multiple day trek in the story. You know, this, although it's imaginary, I still want it to be true to life, that it's me. And anybody that knows me would know I would never do a multiple day walk. But I thought, right, okay, this then needs to be the longest walk I can possibly imagine doing on one day. And I found this route. Oh, I can't remember off the top of my, I think it was like 14 or 15 miles, something like that. And they estimate that it would take 6.5 hours. Well, I would not manage that. And in my story I do manage it, but it just takes me longer and I'm absolutely exhausted. Too tired to even do proper sketches, which is why I've done the map and then just little indication sketches of the main points on the map. So this is a real walk, which in theory I could do quite close to home, but it's unlikely to happen. I'd be quite interested to go to the different places individually, but I wouldn't be tackling the whole walk. And then the next day, which is today, is passport. And obviously the point of this story is that I'm, you know, having my little mini adventures close to home. I'm not going anywhere. I don't need a passport. And in reality, you know, I don't even own a passport. So I was kind of racking my brains. How could I fit passport into the story? And so in this chapter, I make a little miniature passport to put my sketches in, which is, again, is the kind of thing that I would do because I do like bookbinding and, you know, making kind of quirky little things that have no real purpose, but it's just fun to do. So there we go. That's 7. I'm not going to show you properly, but days 8 and 9 are already written. So I have to write a little bit ahead with the story, because to be able to print out these pages, I have to have 8 pages ready to go to be able to make the signature. So yeah, like I say, I've written up to page I've written up to chapter 9, and I've now got a little bit more writing to do because I need to then get the next 8 pages ready to go. I hope you enjoyed my sketches and my little story if you paused it to read the story as we go. I've had a few friends that follow me on Instagram, because I've been sharing this daily on my Instagram account as well. And one of my friends commented the other day, she said, "Oh, it made me laugh so much when I read about your boots." She's like, that's so much like you. And the point of that was that I'd put the boots away in a plastic bag last time I'd worn them without cleaning them. So there you go. It's true to life. My friends recognise me and my bad habits from my story. So I hope you enjoyed that anyway, and I shall see you again next week.